Hello, and welcome to my drawing session. If you hear any noise in the background, I do apologise. There's builders working their days away in the background, hammering all sorts of things. So, to begin with, I started off with a quick sketch, or a base as some may call it, for my drawing, for my line art and colouring later. I found it a little bit tricky with the anatomy of the eye, so I started with a line to guide me for the nose and where it would end up. Here I'm experimenting with if it should be dark eyes or light eyes or whatever. I started off with a light base colour, so the dark black line art would show over the top and it would be fine. For the ears, I really was inspired by an anime called Blue Exorcist, and where I would use pointy down ears instead of pointy up ears. Here I'm sketching in the hair. I was really inspired by a visual artist called Jasmine Bean on Instagram, who does a bunch of photo editing and sort of experimental fashion and makeup, and I was very inspired by her hairstyle. She has a similar sort of thing. Here you can see I'm moving on to my line art. I use a brush called Old Ink Pen, and it has a really jaggedy, rough sort of look to it, and it's became one of my favourite things to use in Photoshop. You can see I use a lot of cross-hatching. Here I was trying to work out how lips work at angles. I think they're one of my least strong points when it comes to the face. I kind of gave up on those for a while and edited the face shape and the eyes and decided where and what eye type I should use. I'm not sure what I was doing here. I think my process of drawing is very chaotic, and you'll see all throughout here I will start different sections of the drawing and then I'll move to another. Like, I just drew one line for that and then I started on the hair. But that's the way I work. I see something and I want to draw it, and then I'll see something else and I want to draw that. Here I finally fix the lips. I use a lot of harsh edges for lips, especially. Something I also struggle with is line weight and different thicknesses of lines to create a very nice, crisp, clean looking art piece which emphasises different sections of the drawing. But a way I've just combated this is usually just use one brush for the entire drawing. For the line art especially, I'll just use one size brush, and it looks a lot more flat, but it also eliminates any risk of the line weight looking inaccurate. I'm not sure why I did this. I think I just clicked a wrong button. A lot of using Photoshop is trial and error, especially because I haven't used it much before. I've only drawn 3 drawings in Photoshop before this drawing. Here I try to figure out how ears work, especially creatures that don't actually exist ears work. I usually use references, but here obviously I didn't. Here's a little life hack. By duplicating the layer and erasing everything else but the part you want to copy, it creates an exact copy, and I wanted accurate and equal looking sides of hair, so I used that. Another thing that's difficult with Photoshop, especially because I'm on my iPad, is doing straight lines, so that's another reason why I copied. With the ears, I wish I had made the right one a little bit angled downwards, because it doesn't look right now that I'm looking at it. However, it's done and dusted now. Here I start on the tunic sort of thing. I tried to there. I was trying to figure out if I should use a tail or not. I ended up with not. There you can see me struggling with the line art a bit. I made the lines a little bit thicker for the clothes and the wings, which we will see. Here I added in some belts and straps. I wanted the torso to look a little bit shorter, so I just lasso tooled that up. That's another great feature within Photoshop. You can manipulate and change certain areas of your drawing or painting or whatever you're creating within it. There you could just see me making sure everything looked like gravity was applying to it normally. Figuring out the sleeves of this woman's tunic took so long. It doesn't look very long in this video because it's all sped up quite a bit, but it took me at least 10 minutes to figure out how sleeves work. But once again, it's all in the process of trial and error on Photoshop. I think finally I get to a result where I'm happy. I really like the angle of that line, so I just decided to crop it and take it out and use it to make the photo look right. A few more touch-ups. These were meant to be wrinkles, but they look like gashes or something. I'm not too sure what I was thinking there. Here I'm just once again duplicating the wing so it's even, making sure it all matches up and it's all right. I'm just blending it into the actual drawing and making sure everything makes sense. There I was seeing if I should make a horn or not, but I decided not to. I finally go back in and finish off the rest of the drawing on the face area, and then we get into the shading with the colours and all that good stuff. I think colouring is one of my favourite things, as well as the sketch, because it's just very loose and very freeing. You don't have to make anything look very nice within the lines, roughly. But I enjoy it quite a lot. I started off with this blue cyan colour for the skin and for the wings. One of my favourite things to do is also, if I don't like the colour, you can select the layer and change the hue or the saturation of it, so you can change the colour of whatever you've coloured in. I'm not sure what I was doing here, but you can change it so whatever colour you want, and you can try out different colours, which you'll see me doing with the hair in a minute. I go in, and originally I wanted to try and add shading with a different colour, because I know that's what you can do, is different hues and different saturations for shading rather than just a darker version of the blue. So I tried to use a purple. However, with the stippling brush effect that you get from the brush I was using, I really liked it and I wanted to add it in just as if it was her freckles or like just her skin tone, the way her skin looks, because I thought it was very pretty. You can see me adding in the stippling and on the wings, and then it clicks and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm just going to use this as her skin colour now. In the end, I didn't actually use anything to shade in her wings or skin, which I kind of regret, but also I think it might have been a tad a bit tricky. Oh well. I like the way it came out anyway. Here I start colouring the tunic. I wanted to create a more earthy green sort of colour, however I went with this red brown, warmer brown colour at first, just to see. I ended up liking this quite a lot at the time. I'm not sure if I'm a fan now, but oh well, the drawing has been done and completed. You'll see me adding in the shading with the stippling effects. One of my favourite features on Photoshop is in fact the hue and saturation you can choose for the actual colour of your brush. It makes it a lot easier to add shadows and shading in if you don't want to be very experimental with colours.
So then, why?
You can see me adding in a pinky brown tone, which I end up scrapping altogether because I don't like it and it didn't match with the atmosphere I was trying to create. think it wasn't standing out enough and it was too similar to the tunic colour. You can see me adding and shading to try and convince myself it's okay, but you'll see me scrap it now. I then go back in with a more green brown, which I like a lot better, and I wish the shading colour of this, the shadow colour of this, was the entire colour of the tunic, but it's done now. If I do a similar drawing to this again, I'll probably use more of an earthy coloured tone thing. Colour palette, that's the word I'm looking for. Here I'm using more of a yellowy colour. I try to use red, but then I go more yellowy. I'm just filling it in now. Eventually adding shading. The second strap I colour in the same bluey greeny colour. Just to add unison and unity to the entire drawing. I don't know why, but now, after colouring everything else, I decide to colour in the eyes. You can tell my process is very chaotic, as well as the constant notifications I get from YouTube. Here I was deciding what hair colour I should use. I wanted something that would contrast with the blue and purple, so I just fully googled it. And the two colours were grey and orange, so I went with an orange colour. This was me trying to fill it in with the bucket tool, however I had to create a whole new layer, and it was just a big old kerfuffle with experimenting with layers and hues and saturation and lightness. But in the end I found a salmon colour that I really liked and appreciated, so I just used that. Here you can see me adding in shadow and shading to the hair, but only the back portion of the hair, which I wish I would have gone into more the front sides and add some dimension and depth into that. I also wish I added shading onto the tunic itself. Now I start doing the background, which is pretty simple. I wanted to go for a Subnautica sort of underwater theme or even a forest, but I kind of gave up on that. I went with more of a cave theme as she has back wings. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys next time.